Alycats and new viewers. Today I'm covering my top 10 horror games because Halloween's creeping ever so closer to us. So I decided to share my favorite games that scared the shit out of me basically, or just gave me a little thrill, made me sit on the edge of my seat. Because shitting your pants isn't really fun. So to start things off, I have to go with the first Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil on PS1, because that was the first horror game that I ever played. I played it with my uncle. He got the director's cut on PS1, and I specifically remember certain moments like when the zombie first turned its head and looked at you, that white zombie, and that was really scary to me. But also, I think what terrified me the most in that game was when the dog jumps through the window. It just terrified me, and back then, everything looked really good, and I look back on those graphics now and I'm like, oh, that's ugh. Thank you for doing the remake, Capcom. There's just really fun memories associated with the first Resident Evil on the PlayStation 1 just because my uncle played it, we played it together, like we'd pass the controller back and forth and play certain sections, and it was always just, you never knew what was around the next corner, you never knew when a zombie would come towards you, and it was just such a good mixture of storytelling and horror and puzzle solving, and I just adored it. Also on PS1 was Dino Crisis, another Capcom game. Now most people might not consider this a horror game, but I actually remember being very terrified by this game. I loved it. Me and my uncle played through it, I believe 3 or 4 times, but I was terrified of dinosaurs after that game, because dinosaurs would randomly like run through walls, they'd drop down through the roof, and I mean, you're just a young woman, I believe her name was Regina. If I'm screwing that up, I'm sorry, it's been a very long time. But you were one woman with a couple pistols, and you had to fight off against T-Rexes and Velociraptors and stuff. And you had to make your way through a lab, and you had to find key cards, and then you're also running away from dinosaurs, and it was just terrifying, okay? I was scared. I was afraid dinosaurs would come after me, okay? I knew they were extinct, but still, I have an overactive imagination, okay? Little Alyssa was weird. She's still weird. And she's speaking in the third person now, so that should tell you something. Moving on to some PS2 era games. First up is The Suffering. Again, I played this with my uncle. This is set in a prison, and you play as a criminal, and everyone in the prison ends up being murdered, I believe, and there are these weird monster things, and you can actually turn into one yourself, and you just have to get out of the prison, and it was just really tense. It was one of those games that had a lot of jump scares in it, and also, back then, the creature design was pretty good. Looking at it now, not so much, but I really enjoy The Suffering. Also, Fatal Frame on PS2, holy shit was that game scary. You play as a Japanese schoolgirl who only has a camera, the camera obscura, and the only way you can vanquish ghosts is by taking their picture. And you usually have to get pretty close to these ghosts, okay? You cannot kill these ghosts any other way. Like, they get right up in your face sometimes, and it's like, ah! And you take their picture, and if you don't take their picture in time, you're dead. I think it's a really, really cool concept. I need to play more of the Fatal Frame games. Now moving on to like the Xbox 360 and PS3 era, I really, really liked Alan Wake. Was it particularly scary? No, but it had a good sense of dread. It had a very Stephen King-ish feel to it. And the story follows a writer named Alan Wake who, with his wife Alice, I believe her name was, go on vacation. Scary stuff happens. Alice goes missing, and Alan goes to find her. And along the way, you have to fight these demons. But the thing is, you can only fight these demons if you shine a flashlight on them first, and then you can shoot them. Otherwise, you can't kill them. And it's just so full of dread and tension, and I love the story. I need more Alan Wake, okay? I played the American Nightmare DLC, but I need more. Remedy, come on. Give us Alan Wake 2, please. Please, I need it. The next game I want to mention is Dead Space 2. This is my personal favorite game out of the Dead Space franchise, and I just loved it. I was always terrified to play this game because you never know when you turn around the corner if there's going to be one of the aliens there. I forget what they're called in the official Dead Space language, but you never knew if one of those big horrifying monstrosities was going to be there and stab you to death. And it was so satisfying when you turned a corner and you got scared shitless by one of those things and you killed it and you curb stomped it and you got ammo from its body. It just felt so good because you got all your frustrations out and you're like, fuck you for scaring me. it was just really successful. And like that one monstrosity that you couldn't kill that kept chasing you like near the end of the game, that motherfucker. But I love Dead Space 2, and if you haven't played it yet, you should, because it's amazing and really gory, and that makes it even more amazing. Also, I really adore Deadly Premonition. Now this is probably one of the most divisive games in gaming history. Either people love this game or hate this game. This is basically the Twin Peaks of video games, okay? You play as a detective who goes to the town of Greenvale, and he's trying to solve these murders that have been taking place by the Raincoat Killer, which throughout the duration of the game you do have to hide from the Raincoat Killer. Like you'll have to go into a locker or a closet or something. If he finds you, he kills you. That's really scary, actually. And like it's got like a heartbeat sound. Like if when he gets closer to you, your heartbeat starts to speed up. Yeah. Anyway, Deadly Premonition is actually really good in my opinion. But play the director's cut on PS3, okay? They fixed the janky controls. But a lot of the demons are like demons that will bend over backward and do that "I wanna kill you" voice, and it's terrifying. And also this game has really weird mechanics, I will admit. Like you have to feed yourself, you have to shave. If you don't shave and change your clothes, you get your pay deducted. It's fucking weird, okay? But it's genius. It's like the Twin Peaks of video games. You have an imaginary assistant named Zach in this game that you talk to. You talk to him about like films that your character loves, and there's a day and night cycle in this game. Like I said, you have to feed yourself, but like sandwiches and crackers cost like $30 to $40, and it's so weird and bizarre, but it's a game you have to play at least once, I think. Even if you end up hating this game, you have to play it at least once, but it's one of my absolute favorite games, and it does truly get scary at points, especially when you're analyzing crime scenes and the Raincoat Killer comes along, or you get your detective possessed accidentally, and that's really scary. I adore Deadly Premonition, and I highly recommend you check it out. Another game that was pretty jump scare heavy was Condemned Criminal Origins. This was one of the launch games for the Xbox 360, I believe. So it's pretty old, and the graphics, I will admit, don't hold up today. But you play as a person on the lam, and you can pretty much only use melee weapons. Occasionally you'll get a gun, but it's only got a few bullets in it. So you're killing people with pipes and toilet seats and bricks. And there's a lot of jump scare moments. There were quite a few moments that actually got me personally, but this is a game where you're always on the edge of your seat and you're trying to solve who is committing these murders, trying to free yourself from the line of questioning, and it's just a very well done game, and I wish there were more Condemned games. Like, could you guys make a Condemned 3 or maybe do an HD of Condemned Criminal Origins? Because I'd be happy with that, because that was a really good game. I loved it. And now moving on to current gen games. One I really enjoyed was The Evil Within. The Evil Within was made by Shinji Mikami, who was the mastermind behind Resident Evil and some other really amazing horror games. But The Evil Within, you star as Sebastian Castellanos, a detective who is sent to an insane asylum to investigate these murders that have taken place, and you never really know if Sebastian is actually experiencing these things or they're just a figment of his imagination. You see a lot of creepy shit. There are some really horrifying enemies in this game, like Laura Bone, I believe her name is, the Spider Woman. Oh my dear lord, she scared the shit out of me so many times because you have to keep fighting her, and she's all like contorted and crawling towards you, and she looks like Samara from The Ring. And there's also a boss that had a safe for a head, and he had this huge like meat cleaver that he'd kill you with, and you had to run away from him, and you couldn't really kill him. It was really hard. It was a difficult game in my opinion, like more difficult than most survival horror games, but there was such a sense of satisfaction when you actually got through The Evil Within, and it was such a dark, foreboding game. You never knew what was coming around to get you. You never knew if you were going to run out of ammo, because this is a game where you need to hoard your ammo and health reserves like candy. Like you need to hoard those things up. Like you will run out and you will be screwed. And it's just, in my opinion, a very good game. Some people didn't like it, but I loved it. And finally, the last game on this list is Until Dawn. Until Dawn is mostly a cinematic experience, but it does have quick time events, and sometimes you get certain dialogue options or actions you can choose to do that will alter your gameplay experience. This game utilizes the butterfly effect, which means even the smallest action can change your whole entire storyline. And you can end up with everyone in your game living, everyone in your game dying, or a mixture of people living and dying. And also, this game has a system where between chapters, it gives you psychological quizzes. So you answer what scares you most, and that they incorporate that into the game. And it's just like, oh, you evil motherfuckers. But it's like, that's genius. That is so genius. And there's really good performances by Rami Malek, who you now know from Mr. Robot, and Hayden Panettiere, and some other amazing actors and actresses. It's a beautiful game, and I love the fact that this is meant to be played multiple times. And seriously, this game had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. I was afraid to move, well, partly because it has a gameplay mechanic where if you move your DualShock controller at a certain time, you can end up dead. But also because I was actually terrified about what was going to happen to the characters and what was going to pop out at me. And I seriously, every time I played, my heart would be pounding over and over and over and over again. But I loved it. I love the storytelling mechanics, and I always love me a good butterfly effect story. So Until Dawn, I highly recommend if you have a PS4. So those are 10 of my favorite horror video games. I know they're not going to match yours, and that's perfectly fine. What are your favorites though? Let me know because I'm curious in the comment box down below. Like the video if you liked it. Share it if you liked it because that means the world to me and it's super duper helpful. And don't forget, if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and join the Alycat family because I'd love to have you here. And if you'd like to follow me on social media sites or check out my website, all the links are in the description box down below. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. Have a spooky Halloween. That was so stupid. Peace and kisses. Bye!